We're at Fitzy's Marina here on Breton Bay, and Fitzy's is open on weekends and home of the best crab cakes in town. We're here this morning with Deb Rey. She's the Republican candidate for the House of Delegates in Southern St. Mary's County District
29B.
29B. Deb has been delegate in that district before from 2014 to 2018, and she's looking to recapture the seat from a very socialist, radical, left-wing, progressive Democrat who's getting lots of money from Montgomery County and votes like he's from Montgomery County. Deb, what do you view the real challenges are in this election? You just have 3 weeks left to go.
I think some of the challenges are making sure that people know what our votes are, how we voted, how we represented them.
Okay, how do you differ?
So, well, one, I'm more focused on the people than I am really on the projects. He focuses more on the projects. And I think both are important, but I think responding to the people and understanding what their concerns and issues are way more important. I mean, when I go door knocking, the main concern is crime, inflation, and education. Crime, it seems to be out of control. There's a lot of people in Lexington Park in our district that are really trying to work through it and trying to figure out what's going on, how can we impact it, etc., to reduce the crime, keep the kids on the right track. And there are things we can do in Annapolis to do that as well. We need to take a look at the recidivism rate. Are we letting people out of jail when they really should be kept in jail? We should have a law that says if you commit a crime with a firearm, then that's a mandatory jail sentence. I just met a gentleman yesterday. He moved here from Florida, and he said they have the 10-20-25 rule. So if you use a gun when you commit a crime, if you just brandish it and show it, that's an automatic 10 years. If you fire it, that's 20 years. And then if you fire it at somebody, that's 25 years. And that would be well worth looking at to see, what is the impact of that law there, and is that something we need to implement here in Maryland?
Well, your opponent, Delegate Brian Crosby, the Democrat, who votes like he's from Montgomery County, he recently had a fundraiser in Montgomery County. He has over $100,000 shown in the kitty, in his bank account, as of August 28th. Who knows how much he's raised since then? He won't have to report it before the election. But do you think that he's actually representing the interests of St. Mary's County when Montgomery County thinks he's just swell?
Actually, no, I don't think he represents us that well. He did vote for a $2.2 billion school construction project, or funds, that guaranteed $0 for St. Mary's. But 88% of those funds would go to 6 jurisdictions, and one of them was Montgomery County. So
well, he's doing a good job of representing Montgomery County.
He does. Yes, he does.
Okay. The transportation gridlock at Great Mills. The Kern County Commissioners approved a huge building with hundreds of employees right at that intersection, the new J.F. Taylor building. But they didn't get the road and the intersection fixed first, but they added to it. Mm-hmm. Crosby says, he was getting funds to fix that gridlock in that intersection, but it turns out the state highway people say, no, the funds aren't there. What will you do to fix that gridlock at Great Mills?
Well, I'll work with State Highway. I'll work with the county commissioners to make sure it stays as our #1 priority. Work with State Highway and the governor to work to get money into the budget. That intersection is a split between my district and 29C. So we'll have both of us, both delegates working it, plus the center. And then I also work with them to work through the permitting process, because that's really going to be the next big step. And so we just keep that project moving down the road. Eventually it will get fixed.
But during your term as a delegate, it was also the same time that Todd Morgan was a commissioner. Mm-hmm. Do you have a good working relationship with Todd Morgan?
I don't know, honestly. Well, I think I do. So I think that we'll wait to see how that one works out.
Okay. In other aspects of the district that you have represented before and you seek to return to, has been the environment. Do you think that the water is cleaner around the peninsula of St. Mary's County now than it was? And if not, what would you think should be done?
I'm not sure. So I'm not sure if the water's cleaner. I do still support the aquaculture and the farm aquaculture, you know, where we growing oysters in cages to help clean the water.
Well,
Absolutely.
that's very effective at cleaning the water.
Yes.
And they've grown that business a lot in the region. Have you worked in that in the past?
Yes, I did. I was on the Oyster Advisory Commission, and we took a look at promoting that. We took a look at the sanctuaries, what should be sanctuaries, how to help the oystermen as well, and to balance all that. And I hope to get back into that again as well.
Okay. Deb Rey, you were in the military. Your opponent makes a big deal out of the fact that he was in the Army, but you don't talk too much about being in the military. Could you tell us what you did in the Air Force and what rank you were and how long were you in there?
Sure. So I served in the United States Air Force for 20 years, and I retired as a major out of the Air Force. I did information management and logistics. I served mostly in the United States. I did do a tour over in Iceland for a year, which was fun. Deployed to Saudi Arabia during Operation Desert Storm, and I really enjoyed my military service. It taught me so much.
What were the kind of duties you had during Desert Storm when you were assigned there?
So I was the wing executive officer. I was over there for 3 months, and I served as the executive officer to the general that was in charge of the Air Force forces in the area of operation over there. So I was basically his secretary, his admin assistant, did his schedule, managed his visits with the different people in the country and the other services with the other countries that were serving on our base, etc. I was stationed at Dhahran.
The postcard that your opponent sent out depicts a veteran on crutches and with an artificial leg and says that you voted against veterans. And that's a really typical Democrat dirty trick in the last couple of weeks before the election when they look like they're going to get trounced. What do you think of that, and what is the truth behind that postcard?
First of all, they're impugning my reputation. It's disgusting. I do support veterans. When I joined the General Assembly, I joined the Tri-County Veterans Regional Advisory Committee, and George Owings, the Secretary of the Veterans Affairs, and I were able to break through the logjam that was happening in order to get the new clinics built, both at Charlotte Hall and at Great Mills. So that is something tangible. Now the Democrats are saying I voted against veterans, and that can be farther from the truth. There are 3 bills that they pull up and say, oh look, this is her voting against veterans. But what those bills do is use a veteran as the shiny object to get you to ignore what the bill actually does. The first bill was about counting dead people who voted, about counting their votes, and said, oh, well, if you died during the 45 days before the election and you had requested an absentee ballot, then send it in and that vote will count. Well, when that bill came up, it wasn't about veterans at all. It was just about the general population. And then it was about
a specific delegate, is that correct?
Yes, sir, thank you. It was Marianne Lasanti had put in saying that her mother had passed away before her ballot could be counted. And so she was upset that her mother's vote didn't count. But the thing was, her mother had passed away, and that's the way the law was. they had to verify that the person was alive so that they could verify that the person actually filled out the ballot.
Well, the Democrats been harvesting voters from the cemeteries for years. That's nothing new.
But we shouldn't put that in the law. The other bill was...
Ask Ellen Sauerbrey about 1994.
True. Another strong Republican woman, right? And so one of the other bills was about helping veterans register for college. So to me, I looked at that and say, well, we already have college administrators helping veterans register for college. Veterans aren't stupid. They don't, they're just like everybody else. They can go in and register, and the college can help them register. We don't need more administrators in the college making our tuition more expensive. But the third bill was about hiring preferences for veterans or their spouses. And the fact is, it wasn't a hiring preference at all. In fact, that bill did nothing to help the veteran, because it said to a business owner, you may hire a veteran or you may hire a veteran spouse. It was the government usurping your power and saying, I'm now giving you, Mr. Business Owner, Madam Business Owner, I'm giving you permission to hire the veteran. You don't need the government's permission to hire anybody. You decide who you want to hire. So I was vehemently against that bill, because it wasn't about veterans. It was about government taking power that they didn't have and that we didn't want to give them. So that's why I voted against those bills.
Great. Thank you.